So my name is Markus Nispel. I run solutions architecture and innovation. So innovation is obvious, everything that is new and potentially disruptive for us and the market. We do research those technologies and bring them into the organization. Solutions architecture, I always describe it as connecting the dots. So connecting the dots between our own portfolio elements, making sure that those come together in a new and innovative way, but also connecting the dots towards outside IT applications. So we run our technology solutions partner program where we integrate with other IT systems, which is also important because from our perspective, SDN is all about connecting the dots inside and outside of our portfolio. To baseline, basically what we're really talking about, I wanted to walk you through a quick demonstration of the product as it stands today, so we all know what we are really talking about, and then specifically, Dionys and I, we will talk about obviously the future and how we do see that solution evolving. So it's a real live demo, so let's see how that goes today. So, oh yeah, so that's the first thing that worked before better. Oh yeah. It really worked better before, eh? Sorry for that. Oh, that was a change to your system that caused some trouble here. Looking better. Okay, so what you're looking at here is our reporting system, one fabric control center that brings together our wired and wireless infrastructure and provides additional context. The key component to the solution is our network access control solution that basically creates a real-time state table of all connected users and devices on the entire infrastructure, whether it's wired or wireless, whether it's at the access layer or in the data center. We basically don't care whether you connect a smartphone or a virtual machine, whether it's a wired machine or a tablet via wireless. And then we augment that information with additional context around application information, location information, and things like that. So we are bringing everything together in one database, and we basically provide a unique ability to troubleshoot the infrastructure, provision the infrastructure, and provide statements around the experience of users. So I'll just take one example. So I look up a user. As those users and devices are defined by multiple attributes, we track more than 50 attributes in real time for a given end system. It includes username, MAC address, IP address, host name, and things like that. But also for non-traditional devices, we can augment that database with additional asset information like phone number, IMSI, EMI, and whatnot we get from outside IT systems as well. So what I'm looking for here is a user up in Canada. He's called, what's his name?
Mihai.
Mihai, yeah. Mihai Dobre, and what we will find hopefully is that he has multiple devices connected to the infrastructure. Some are red, some are green. Red is obviously disconnected, but there should be one active device. Here we go. So I looked up that username, I get IP address, device type, location information, I get the AP. I can look at the client history, specifically get RSSI, bandwidth errors over time for that given client. And I also get the same information at an AP level if I want to. So I can obviously see how the RSSI evolved, dropped packets, so there was a problem at some point in time during the day. I also can look at it at the AP level, but specifically I can get all of the data that is related to that end system in a single view that we call port view, which doesn't make a lot of sense, but that's how it evolved. And that port view, that fingerprint, brings all of that data together. And from there, I can even navigate further into the system, provide more drill down and more analytics capabilities. So again, it's the identity information, username, device identity, location information, activity, health results, application information, and the access point information as well. So getting down to the application summary, I get an idea on all of the applications that he's using. We are using our own detection scheme here, being able to detect more than 7,000 applications, a customizable application fingerprint and detection technique that allows our customers also to customize that. Hopefully, it's coming in. It's coming.
We are connected to a production system on the other side of the country.
That
Canada?
worked better before.
Canada?
Yeah.
Same country.
Yeah. Yeah. Where you get an idea of the those applications. In the last hour, over time, application groups, an application for us, we get very granular, so we distinguish different Google traffic, search engine versus mail versus drive. We are able to detect different Facebook activities. Again, more than 7,000 applications. You can also see the current flows in the cache, so we get really granular, provide a lot of metadata on top of those. And from here, again, we can basically circle around and end up at the same view that I've shown before, that fingerprint view. So it's really a closed loop system from a workflow perspective. You can also start to look at other clients using that kind of data, that kind of application. Come on.
Wired and wireless.
Wired and wireless. So what I can show you, just a second, is
this being controlled at the switch level or at the AP level?
At the AP level. So the enforcement point is the first entry point into the infrastructure. So it's when you're connected via wireless, it's the AP. When you're connected via wired, it is the switch. We can work in conjunction if you want to, but that's not necessary because the AP has the ability to enforce the same set of policies as the switch does at the access layer. So just one example to that. Yeah. Our port view got stuck. Shouldn't do that.
So where does the AP get is this based on their role, how they logged in?
Yeah, so we have a rule engine that allows us to use authentication type, device type, so operating system, device identity, MAC IP, hostname, username, LDAP, and AD backend verification, time, and location to define the policy that should be applied. And we can also add on security posture of the device that we either determine by ourselves using scanning techniques or where we integrate with backend MDM systems, for example. We support AirWatch, Mobile Iron, Casper JMF. We just added FiberLink, and we're going to add a few more over the course of the year. And those give us additional asset information that we don't get out of the network infrastructure. For example, IMSI and EMI, you can't get that out of network traffic, but you can get it from an MDM system, so you're able to locate that device and eventually even use it for policy enforcement, which doesn't make a lot of sense to do it based on a phone number, but it does make sense to enforce a specific policy based on the security posture, like is it jailbroken, are specific apps installed, or does AirWatch think that this device is compliant with the security policies that you have set up? Yeah. And that is done, again, in real time, and we can flip the policies in real time as well based on a state change. Yeah. You asked, is it the same for wired? It is the same. So I'm now looking up someone who's connected on a wired port, and the output looks basically the same, hopefully. So it's obviously not an AP that you see here, but it's a switch that this guy is connected to. But if you look at the end system details, you might have recognized the subtabs are also different. Obviously, there's no client RF history, but there are switch resources, net flow information that might be interesting for that given user. So we basically create that view here dynamically based on where that user is connected to and what information we can basically fetch from the network infrastructure that this guy is connected to.
So the last one had an AP history tab?
Yes.
So that would show all roaming history and
Yes.
why they roamed? Is that, you have that level of detail?
We can go back to that just a second. I just want to wait until this guy comes up.
Yeah, I was going to add before, just
The
one
AP
of the things
history.
that's pretty cool that our customers just love is the fact that they can just search by a user, right? So from an IT help desk perspective, it's what's your username?
What's your MAC address?
Not your
Yeah,
MAC
exactly.
address, not your IP address, but the credibility. Like we hear from our customers all the time, hey, when our help desk gets a call and I can say, hey Jim, I know that you're on this floor with your iPad having problems and you're using this application, like that level of credibility, instantly from a end user perspective, they kind of back off being so aggressive right away. It's like, okay, this guy actually knows what's going on. He could probably help me. This is really cool. And then and we hear that from our customers.
So that's the history of the AP that client's on.
Yes, you get also the client history itself if you want to, so that's shown here, and you get also all of the details to that client on that radio updated.
Could
as
you
well.
see where that client's been over the last 3 days? Which APs have they attached to?
Yes, you can also get end system events in history where you basically get location information and where's my location here? Switch nickname. So we call it switchbot, but it's really an AP and an SSID that we are capturing here. And what you can also do is, so it's the base MAC, the SSID and the AP itself. And as you roam, you can also trigger actions based on changes that occur if you want to. So that's another option. So again, we treat both attachment technologies or access technologies the same way, yeah, but you obviously get different details.
And then probably the other way that's achievable, and we'll show you some of the maps, the location capability, but
Yes.
you can also kind of replay or rewind
Yep.
where people have been.
Yeah.
Is it based on former Anteros's net site?
Yeah, so the management framework is really NetSite, so which we call one Fabric Control Center as a concept, which includes NetSite, network access control, our Purview component, which is our application detection technique, and Identify Wireless, which also came from the Anteros's acquisition.
So all the data with the former roamabout are in here.
It is roamabout, which is now identified,
Yeah, okay,
so we
but
rebranded. So it's that
back-
technology that is also the strategic wireless technology moving forward. Yeah. I also showed, just as we were talking, I showed you the ability to locate that user because he's wireless connected. I can find him on a map right away. I just clicked on the location tab here, and that brings me to that map, so I can see that this guy is really close to that access point here. And from here again, I can do troubleshooting. I can even start a real Wireshark trace and packet capture from that AP, streaming back to my Wireshark system. I can get the same AP client and some AP summaries that you've seen before in the tab.
Are you showing switch ports on the map there as well? Is that what the little blue triangles, the
No,
Christmas
that
trees are?
blue thing here?
No, the little
No,
Christmas trees.
that's the
drops?
map import that
all
shows the
I wasn't
cable
sure if you were
plugs.
showing the actual Ethernet port being
No,
lit up.
the Ethernet port you can see here on the other side in the first view where we showed the initial topology. So that's an option here. You can also show the overall coverage. So obviously good. That would be a shame because it's our wireless development facility if we wouldn't have good coverage here for 80 dBs, but we can also go better. Oh, it's still good, huh? 69. Yeah, now we are trying to fade out at around 60 or so. So pretty good coverage here. Yeah. So again, bringing together what I mentioned before, end user, device, topology, application context in one view, basically. Yeah. So that's the main point here coming from an end system. Overall, I showed you the application tab on a per end system base. We can also do that top down coming from the application dashboard and drilling into specific applications and protocols as they get used on the infrastructure. So for example, we're going to use here storage. Getting an idea of who's using storage and what storage protocols are used. CIFS is probably number one, no surprise. NFS is number two. And again, from here, I can drill down into all clients using CIFS. And if those clients, again, the top clients are wireless connected, then I can end up in the same fingerprint view that I've shown you before. So now it's loading a new view. That's why it's white. It should come back. Yeah.
I've got a question for you when you're ready, Jim.
Yep, I'm on.
So Mike, reference a scenario about the help desk and being able to, see where somebody is, etc.
Yep.
What's the granularity of like privilege? Can you give the help desk, very, very limited views and
yep.
Engineers a deeper config view?
Yep. Yep. Yeah. So we have multiple access levels, and on a per access level, you can define read-write and also read-write capabilities on specific locations, or what we call zones. And a zone itself can be defined again by all of the attributes that I mentioned before. So user, location, time, authentication type. So you can even have a granular access control into what users a specific admin can manipulate, so to speak.
On the read views only, can you hide everything else?
We are working on that, so that will be in one of the releases, that we are able to basically get rid of all of the user identity information on the user side as well as the hostname side. That typically allows you to tie back to users, if you want to. Yeah. So that's the application side of the house. What I wanted to show as well is just trying to find the right view here. Again, shown the wireless dashboard. We can quickly have a view here.
So is this installed on a VM on your premise, or is this part of your cloud structure?
No, that's on-prem.
Okay.
So both NetSide as well as Identify, as well as Network Access Control and also Purview can be all virtualized. So they're all running as virtual appliances in our own data center right now. But you can obviously push them into the cloud as well. Yeah.
But the NetSite that the NetSite OneView that we're showing here is installed in one of our offices in Salem, New Hampshire.
Yep.
But managing 10 or 12 different Extreme offices around the world. So it gives you that view. And what's kind of cool, right, is that, our CEO, well, I know where he is today, but, you never know where your CEO is. You can do a quick search for a user. It's like you might think that they're calling you from California, where in fact they're over in Raleigh, right? And from a help desk perspective, again, from a troubleshooting perspective, that kind of visibility, it's kind of crazy when you start trying to troubleshoot it only to find out that the person's not in the office that they normally work out of, right? So I think a lot of our thought process around this product and how we build networks is how do you manage them, right? How do you operate the network? What kind of visibility do you have? What kind of control do you have? What kind of analytics can you actually see and measure what's going on through the system, the network as a whole, right?
Yep. Okay, something's wrong with my network connection. I'm wired, that's probably the problem, so I should go wireless. Huh?
Probably is.
Probably a better idea.
Might be someone here who could help.
Yeah, maybe. Okay.
Debug.
Yeah. Okay, so just a quick view again. That's a wireless specific dashboard view. Again, similarly on the applications, we can start drilling down into specific data sets, clients, client history, access point history, threat history, locating threads as we did with the client on a map, and things like that. So again, that's basically a worldwide deployment here.
Another question.
Yes?
How much of what we're seeing relies on different licenses?
It is, so what we do is we separately license, Identify obviously is licensed by access point, so the wireless solution itself, the control side of that. NetSide itself, same way, so the management app itself is licensed the same way. Network access control is licensed by end systems, so authenticated end systems, and the application detection is licensed by the number of flows per minute coming in. So you have different components. Obviously, as we use our own technology, we have everything deployed in our own network infrastructure. Customers might start with wireless technology specifically, then add access control capabilities, and add application detection capabilities over time.
So in the bottom on the clients by protocol,
just clicked away in that.
There was
yes.
a pretty significant drop of clients. So on that, can you start troubleshooting immediately from that dashboard and kind of dig into that and dig into what happened at in that time period?
I suspect yes, but I need to go back to the view to see that.
Like to see if AP dropped or if a group of APs, like something along those lines. Is that what you're thinking?
Either that or just
network outage or
more like client
outage,
metrics too, right?
Anything that happened that would cause a major shift like that. For historical reporting or reasoning, I can go back in time and kind of figure out what happened.
You mean managing your network through your network management system?
Right. Right.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah. When it comes back, we can probably show that to you. But okay, so I think we have a little bit of a performance challenge here, getting access to the management system right now. But
probably you don't have it licensed correctly.
Maybe.
It does seem like there's a license for a license to have a license for a license.
No. It's pretty straightforward. So starting.
Okay, wait. Say that again. How many licenses were on there? And
well, I think to be
it's
to be
infrastructure, end systems, and flows.
I think Marcus gave a two-part answer to a one-part question, because the management system that we're looking at has 2 tiers of licenses, and Marcus was talking about other products, like the wireless products has its own licenses, and so the network access control, customers aren't necessarily forced to buy network access control. That product is licensed, right?
Yep.
The Purview application analytics product has a license associated to it, so it's not licenses on top of licenses on top of licenses. It's
different
by a product
products,
that's licensed by a different product that.
a license next to a license next to a license.
Yeah, and we have customers deploying just one of those. For example, the NFL, as we are the official analytics provider for the NFL is just using the Purview licenses.
product.
Yeah. So there wouldn't be any. Here we go. There wouldn't be a use case for the wireless licenses for those deployments where we just provide analytics. And we also have customers just using network access control, our network access control solution on top of third-party wired and wireless infrastructure. So there needs to be a dedicated option, licensing option for that. And similarly, we have customers just using our wireless solution and a third-party network access control solution. So we need to carve that out separately as well, obviously.
So what is the scale of the deployment that we're looking at? It looks like it's sub 10,000.
Yeah, it's our network. It's like 10,000 endpoints, I would say. Is it?
Yeah, because I see 2,800, 4,000.
1X to 3,000 meg is for, it's 8,000 end systems distributed across 50, 60 locations worldwide, yeah. So overall, the system scales from a management perspective to 100,000 end systems per management domain.
And what happens when you hit 100,000?
We just tell you should buy a second server.
Buy a second one?
Yeah. Okay. So it's 100,000 end systems, roughly 5,000 switches, access points per domain. What is the limit there?
I think that's right. Yeah.
And is that a hard limit, or is that one of those, hey, once you get to a certain point, things are going to start falling off?
We test to that point, and we guarantee availability, but it's not a hard enforced limit on the 100,000. Yeah.
How do you take care of managing, let's say, different complexes or buildings? Like in your case here, you have offices in different states and different countries. Are you breaking them down individually? Like per login? Is that something you can show us? Like you've done through some sort of virtual domain of some sort?
We have multiple options to do that. So you can group by switch and AP location automatically, both the wired and wireless infrastructure. You can assign policies based on those locations as well. And the structure that we use here in the context of maps allows us to locate users on those maps in different locations as well. And you can also use that, as I mentioned before, to authorize access into the system based on those locations.
Excellent.
So all of these are HTML5, so you can run them on an iPad?
Yeah, it's largely HTML5. It's not exclusively, but we are getting there. So we are in the process of migrating entirely to HTML5. Yeah.
Java or Flash?
We had JavaScript solutions. Flash is not included anymore. Not aware of that.
Specific to policy, one of the things that I've seen that was commented on with wireless SDN was, let's say you have an office and everyone's gone home for the day, they come in with their laptop, the infrastructure notices a probe request, and boom, the SSID pops up, right? Giving intelligence to the network. So do you have any capabilities like that? Is that something that's coming?
I'm not aware of that, actually. Dionys?
This is something that where we're going to come in the next talks.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Where we want to go with the intelligence. This is
just one example. So you're talking about programmable network.
Yeah.
So while you give one example, someone else wants some other example, but you have to be programmable. So you open the interface through the northbound interfaces to allow different types of programming of the network events and actions.
Yeah.
Now this brings on a whole new question, because we're all wireless geeks. In your perspective, do we need to start learning coding?
Yeah, we dropped it out.
I mean, really?
Serious question.
I would agree that it's probably I'm talking for the talk I'm going to talk a little later, but the policy that we have today is mainly defined in a static set of rules. They dynamically change one after the other, but the rules by themselves are composed statically through the configuration. There is no reason just to be statically compiled. Actually, they can be programmed. You can write a function, and we have like periodic language they exist, which allow you to compile dynamically, programmatically, more than dynamically, the set of the rules that will be applied. Yeah. And expressiveness is way bigger than any kind of management system can achieve with the static rules.
Really, hasn't everything, George, in wireless been an evolution from network design to programming in some state or form as we start looking at analytics and where we're going with on that? It's your wireless is almost becoming just a simple transport medium that has a hard design to it because you can't see it, you can't troubleshoot it easy, you still need that, but the next step is programming it, whether it's analytics or whether it's SDN or anything. That's really all networks are going that way.
Yeah.
But I agree with that. But if you look at it, you go 10 years ago, we were more worried about, and we had this discussion earlier, RF and surveys. Yep. And then now we're into this whole BYOD. We're the BYOD guys. Now we're doing analytics, and now we're going to have to be coders. I mean, where does it end?
It never ends.
Yeah. It never ends.
Well, and I don't mean that means that it ends, but I mean, if you really want to be a very effective wireless professional, you can't be master of all those trades. You really can't be. I mean, you really have to stake where your expertise are at. So I'm more curious because when I hear SDN, I don't have time to go learn a programming language, right? But you still want to be cutting edge. Mm-hmm. So this is really a good eye opener for me to see, how is all this going to integrate?
Yep. Yep.
So what we typically see, the people who want to customize the network today, they do scripting.
Yep.
And doing through the CLI, which is way more difficult than it should be. Like what they expect to do with the SDN or one interface, that will be simplified by using typical, expressive, and supportive with the tool languages, which can be done the job much easier.
Yeah, but what percentage of your deployments or your customers are doing that, and how much time are they spending doing that, right? That's got to represent a small fraction
that's
of
the
your
point in terms of
user base.
When I hear scripting, it always, so I'm more a software guy, so we are trying to, as I was pointing out before, we are connecting the dots and using other IT systems to do certain things, and in terms of provisioning the network for certain services, we would like to expose that capability through a central API to other systems to do that. So you don't start scripting in the traditional way where you basically execute scripts on a per network element or switch or AP base, you basically bring all of those things together in a central component called the SDN controller, and then you expose that via northbound API. So the scripting requirements, or those requirements that you've seen in the past, fade away and are replaced by newer techniques and new methodologies on how you provision the network infrastructure. So it's probably not as bad as you might think. So again, scripting for me has a relatively negative connotation, so that sounds a little old school. Yeah. Anyway, so the location structure, you asked about that, so that's obviously reflected in our maps. Again, that's both wired and wireless. We can mix and match them together. But in the essence of time, I think we want to go back to the next part of the presentation. Again, we just wanted to baseline a little bit on what we are really doing here.
Well, there seems to be a natural segue in the room as
yes,
everyone's a little primed up to talk about SDN.
Yes.